The 17th China-ASEAN Expo and China-ASEAN Business and Investment Summit held this year in Nanning drew to a close today. On Friday, Chinese President Xi Jinping addressed the opening ceremony via video, and more than 1,500 businesses also participated virtually in the four-day event. So what were this year's highlights? And looking forward, how will RCEP in particular affect the future of regional trade? Can cooperation in the digital economy be strengthened? And how can China help ASEAN countries fight COVID-19? To answer these questions, I'm joined in Beijing by Lu Yan, Research Fellow at the Institute of Belt and Road Initiative at Tsinghua University, and via Skype by Tai Wei Lim, Research Fellow at East Asian Institute at the National University of Singapore. Welcome to you both. Ms. Lu, I want to start with you. Can I get your observation on the major accomplishments and highlights of the China-ASEAN Expo this year?
So you mean start with me first?
Yes, please.
Okay. So you begin with the question about the digital Silk Road, and this is our focus one of the focus today. And we know currently we have entered an era of information, and for the information flow, it's means productivity, means power. And digital Silk Road, we will make the infrastructure of flow of information possible. Previously, we have 2Gs, 3Gs, 4Gs. Now we will soon enter the period of 5Gs, and which means these again provides a new scenarios for the future. This time, the pandemic creates lots of problems for us, but it also proves the information, the power of information. Although the flow of peoples has been prevented, but through home offices and through internet, we still share the information. And after the pandemic, we will see that there's these digital economy will against new powers and actually accelerate the digital, the development of digital economy.
Professor Lim, now that we're on the topic of digital economy, I want to get your thoughts on this quote from the Chinese president, who said China will work with ASEAN on the China-ASEAN Information Harbor to advance digital connectivity and build a digital Silk Road. Why is digital economy and digital connectivity emphasized? Why is it so important for China and ASEAN?
Well, ASEAN has ambitions when it comes to digital infrastructure and economy. As you know, ASEAN wants to launch the network of smart city. This was a network that was proposed under the leadership of Singapore when it was the rotating chair of ASEAN. It has brought together 15 to 20 leading cities within ASEAN in order to connect them digitally for the smart city project. And certainly in this area, ASEAN wants to work with external partners, whether it's EU, US, Japan, but also China as well. And that's where China comes in as an important component of this smart city network. China has technologies that are already implemented within ASEAN countries. For example, transportation and logistical technology in Malaysia, cashless payment systems in Thailand, and also many other aspects of technologies that have been implemented. So certainly all these technologically advanced countries, including China, can be reliable partners where that the region can work with these partners in order to design the future digital infrastructure that can help connect all these disparate places within ASEAN together digitally. Geographically, ASEAN is separated into two components: the hinterland, mainland Southeast Asia, as well as maritime Southeast Asia that consists of islands. And digital connectivity can help to connect all these different places together within this important consumer market of 500 to 600 million people, and this can be potential consumers if Chinese companies come in and are able to establish their digital presence. Then they can be early leapfroggers and early birds catchers the worm, and they can set up the foundational digital infrastructure that can benefit the standards as well as infrastructures in the future as this digital infrastructure is built upon and developed much further.
Professor Lim, I want to stay with you because as we've been discussing digital economic cooperation, obviously high on the agenda this year as ASEAN's digital economy is estimated to increase from just 1.3% of group GDP in 2015 to 8.5% in 2025. A lot of potential to grow. Where do you think that growth potential lies in terms of sectors? Can you give us examples of how that will continue to happen?
There are strategic sectors in which China is currently leading. For example, cashless payments. China is seen to be a model in cashless payments because it has managed to unify a lot of cashless payment platforms into several platforms. For example, Alipay, Tencent Pay, and these technologies have a lot of application and use, particularly in ASEAN countries that want to set up their own cashless payment system. Chinese technologies is already present in places like Thailand, for example. Now, the other industry, strategic industry in which it is at the takeoff stage is definitely in e-commerce. And certainly, Chinese companies like Alibaba has been ahead in terms of the e-commerce industry. For example, it actually bought over Southeast Asia's largest e-retailer, e-commerce operator, Lazada. And through these kinds of strategic pivoting, through acquisition of important Southeast Asian e-commerce assets, it is able to position itself strategically as the ASEAN economic community grow as a whole. In December 2015, the 10 ASEAN countries have quietly banded together to form the ASEAN Economic Community, a consolidated market of 600 million people, and this can serve as potential consumers of digital services in e-commerce, cashless payment systems, as well as other aspects of electronic industries.
Let's talk about RCEP. Ms. Lu Yan here in Beijing. A major aim of this year's expo was to facilitate the recently signed Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP. Now, as the world's biggest free trade deal, some media outlets have painted it as a challenge to the United States and that China will dominate its partners economically through the deal. There's no getting around the fact that China is a sizable economy that has signed on to that deal. What do you make of China's role in RCEP and its relations with the other signatories to that deal?
RCEP has become a hot word recently in China. If we look at Chinese media, it's full of reports on RCEP and on how RCEP will impact Chinese economy, impacts on the regions. Now we are talking about double circulation of Chinese economy. And with the RCEP, the signing of RCEP, we are trying to connect China's 21 free trade zones with RCEP. And now there's already government documents working on that, and I think it will soon actions and policies comes out towards that direction. And there has been lots of criticism, but there is also a lot of confidence on RCEP. In the past 2 years, the U.S.-China trade war, and this year the pandemic to some extent hit our confidence on globalization, but RCEP has regenerated these confidence. It reduces the barriers of trade and investments. I think it's not only to benefit China. Of course, China has the biggest size of economy within RCEP members, but it's a flow of information, flow of people, technology, and it means it also creates opportunities for the members within in Chinese markets. And these times, you know that in Thailand, there's a very famous multinational which called Chirong Pokam Group. It has a very good reputation in China. And for example, they also have lots of business opportunities in China with the new opening up. This is why I would not say that it only benefits China. And if we look at the past, in the 1990s in China, China is opening up. We have also paid the prices. Lots of, for example, lots of workers in state enterprise lost their jobs. But with the times, in 5 years' terms, in 10 years' terms, if the direction is correct, we will see the payoff. And I believe RCEP is a right direction. Countries with different interests, with lots of difference in opinions, but they have reached a consensus. That is the regional cooperation, and they believe that these will bring opportunities for all of them. This is my opinion on the RCEP future.
You have given us a very specific example of a Thai multinational benefiting potentially from RCEP and increased connectivity brought by RCEP. Now that people talk about how China could reap the biggest benefit of them all, could you also help us understand how China stands to benefit from RCEP as well?
Of course. For example, we will share information through. We can, for example, we can build a kind of information center, and for trade and economy, we need information, and information asymmetry. The flow of information will create jobs. Will create business opportunities. For example, there's lots of investors looking in China, looking for projects overseas, and through we can try to build a kind of information center, and there's projects of outside China, of RCEP member country. They can put their projects information there, but this is, I mean, this is not only for China, but also for other countries, and so that this kind of flow of information will generate opportunities. I think, yes.
Thank you very much. I'm afraid that's all the time we have on this part. My thanks go to Lu Yang and Tai Wei Lim.